Deep Threat Sports Network. We're back at it again. This is a good one. I think this is from what I hear, this is the people's favorite segment because we talk the Heisman, we talk top 25, we talk conference top teams. This week is going to be a little different. We're going to have Heisman, and then we're going to have the playoff segment. I mean, all we're going to talk about is playoff, who's in, who's out, who's got a chance, who doesn't have a chance. But we're also, again, we're going to talk Heisman. I know you guys have kind of seen our Heisman players kind of shift around. We've lost some, we've gained some, we've kept some that we had from the beginning. But I'm going to go ahead and shoot it right off the bat. I'm going to shoot it over to Collin. Collin, what is your three Heisman guys? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, first off, welcome back, everybody. We love you guys following along. This should be a really exciting episode. We're really going to dive deep and focus solely on the playoffs. We're going to do a little bit of this Heisman conversation here early, and then we're really just going to center the focus around the playoff conversation. And I know that's everybody's favorite part of the 2024 college football season is how we expand to 12 teams. So cannot wait to dive into that. But yeah, first I'll kick mine off. And at number 3, I have a new face to be in my Heisman conversation. And I'm going to go with running back from Iowa, Caleb Johnson. This is a guy that's not getting as much credit out there as he deserves because there are some quarterbacks having good seasons. Iowa obviously is not an undefeated football team, so it makes it a little bit tougher. But he does play in the Big Ten Conference, and he had 135 yards and 3 touchdowns this last week. But on the season, he's at 1,279 rushing yards and 19 touchdowns. This is another guy that is really, really taking care of business. He's young, shows tons of life for this Iowa offense. He really is the focal point for this football team. And credit to him, I think he truly deserves to be in the Heisman conversation and to get his credit. At number 2, I'm going to go with quarterback from Miami, Cam Ward. He had 400 yards this week, 5 touchdowns. On the season, he's at 2,746 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions. I don't need to say any more, really. Cam Ward's the real damn deal. We've said it all year. We've all had him in our conversation all year. And when the defense collapses for Miami, Cam Ward comes right back out and scores points. You really saw it against Duke where Duke scores and you're like, man, okay, Duke's got Miami on their heels, might win the football game. Cam Ward comes right back out, down the field. Same thing against Louisville the week before. Louisville scores, Cam Ward comes right back out, down the field. Never leaves any doubt. Also has a loaded receiving corps, so that helps. Great running backs. Cam Ward is incredible, and if anybody has him at number 1, I could not disagree with you for that. But I'm going to stay with my boy Ashton Jeanty at number 1. 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. There's no reason he should slide down with numbers like that in a week. 15-25 on the season, 20 touchdowns, and yet to fumble the football. Yet to put the football on the turf. Ashton Jeanty, my man, Heisman winner. Keep the pace, baby. It's going to be tough, but I'm a firm believer in Ashton Jeanty, and I'm not going to stop now.
Boy, okay. I think, and I haven't even looked at Bryant's because last I had looked, he had his own name in number 1. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you guys about mine. I think everyone, number 1, I have Cam Ward as well. Like there's not much else to say against Cam Ward. Miami's undefeated. Cam Ward is making it happen. 24 touchdowns, over 2,500 yards. I mean, the guy's he's just good. No one can really touch him, I think, at this point. So I got Cam Ward at number 1. The controversial one that we're going to talk about is going to be Travis Hunter. And I had kind of knocked him off my list for a little bit. But, then when I really look at it, Colorado's probably going to end up 10-2. Like it is just, as much as we all hate to admit it, Prime is going to end up 10-2 most likely. And then Travis Hunter's playing well. And like we've talked about before, he's not pulling the Ashton Jeanty on the offense. He is not, crushing it on defense. But he is very good on both sides of the ball. I mean, 60 receptions, 757 yards, 8 total touchdowns, 20 total tackles, 7 pass deflections, fumbles. The list goes on and on. I mean, and again, like I said, it's just when you look at the Heisman, you think of like the guy that's going to be known about for a long time, the guy that was just a very special talent. And nothing against Ashton Jeanty. I'm big on Ashton Jeanty. I am. But I just think in a realistic scenario, it's going to be very hard for him to win it. And then that leads me into my number 3, which is Ashton Jeanty. And I previously did have him at number 1, but the only concerns I have is it's not his skill. It's can his health hold up, because he's a running back. I mean, those guys take some hits, some hard hits. And, we already seen he had a bit of a forearm injury. And then, in the last 2 games, he's averaged 3.9 and 4.8 yards per carry, respectively. And that's where I'm starting to wonder, like, man, are the hits starting to add up? I mean, we're a little bit past halfway. So I at this point, I'm just more concerned, like, for his
still
health.
Averaging 4.8 yards per, like, here's why I think Ashton Jeanty is the front runner. And I'm not going to repeat myself from a couple episodes ago where I say if we remove all these guys from these teams still have success, except Ashton Jeanty. But listen to what we're talking about. If he's averaging 4.8 yards per carry and we're docking him because of that, that is wildly insane.
But that's what he has to do, because he's not
2.5 carries and he's a walking first down.
But
like, he is a walking first down.
He's not playing SEC talent.
I don't.
Neither is Travis Hunter.
Yeah, neither. I am past all of those conversations about that, because he, you really, like, if
UNLV was their hardest matchup, and I
UNLV is a good football team, though. UNLV would give Colorado a punch-for-punch football game. I'm a firm believer in that. So, like my thing with Travis Hunter, though, is, Dave, is, yes, dude, like, I fully hear you and I fully respect that decision. And I truly do think that you are more right about Travis Hunter than I am about Ashton Jeanty. Like, seriously, I really do. I really think Hunter has a way better chance than Ashton Jeanty. And I know that. Like, my thought with Travis Hunter is a little bit, and Bryant, be the difference on this. Tell me, like, what you think on this. Is I think there are a lot of wide receivers in the country that could probably go play a Division I caliber cornerback like Travis Hunter does. I think there are a lot of cornerbacks that could go play Division I caliber wide receiver as well. Like, I think there are a ton of players out there that, if presented the opportunity, they could go do what Travis Hunter is doing. Now, I'm not saying though at such a premier level, but I think there are tons of players that can go do that. There are tons of players that did that through high school. Like, truly, if you think about it, most of your top 5-star prospects, like non-quarterback, non-offensive linemen, like, if they were a safety or a corner or a receiver, they probably played both ways in high school and probably were recruited both ways. They just were much better at one position. So, like, I don't know. It's Colorado proved they can win without Travis Hunter. Boise State would not win without Ashton Jeanty. And it's tough for me. Like, and Travis Hunter he's a fantastic talent. Playing 130 snaps a game's crazy.
I've said it week in and week out. It's Ashton Jeanty University, because without Ashton Jeanty, there is no Boise State. And I agree. And I do think that my 2 and 3, in 20 minutes, you can convince me the other way around. And that's why we're not the ones making the decisions at the top there. But I will say, and just to show how transparent I am about 2, 3, and 4, is I have Dylan Gabriel as my 4 honorable mention, because he's still playing really well. He's on the number 1 team in the country. He has a QBR of 88.1, 4th in college football. He's a really good player. On any other year, he's probably at number 1. But I just think there's a lot of people competing very heavily up top. And I don't think he's a number 1, 2, or 3. I think he is a 4. I think that's where he sits, even though he is on, the best team in college football. He is performing well. He's getting the job done. He seems to be improving. But I just think Cam Ward has not let off the gas. That's why he is at number 1. And then, yes, Ashton Jeanty, I think if his stats were still, here, because we're here, and then we started dipping a little bit. I'm not saying a lot. And to your point, yes, 4.8 yards on any other.
We're at 15.25. 15.25. He is not. I hear you that, yes, but
I'm just concerned for health. That's it. That's my thing with Ashton Jeanty.
But whenever we're sitting here talking about, I mean, I could throw that right back, saying the same thing though about Travis Hunter. I mean, he's been banged up this year, playing 130 snaps. That's harder to do than Jeanty running the ball 30 times, in my opinion. So, I mean, I think that all I was saying, and truthfully, I don't think Travis Hunter or Ashton Jeanty win it at this point. I do think it's Cam Ward, just to go on record saying that. But I mean, it's nuts what Jeanty does.
Oh, 100%. Brian, tell us about yours, though. I want to hear yours. What do you got?
So I got Cam Ward at 1, and Collin's kind of went in depth with him. He's just been playing at an elite level. Another 400-yard passing game and 5 more touchdowns this previous week. I think he solidified at 1 for me. Genty, I have at number 2. We've talked at length with him. He's having a stellar, historic season there at Boise State. If he just maintains similar to what he's been doing, like we've talked about it many times, I think he's definitely going to be in the conversation. And 3, I think 3 is for sure Dylan Gabriel. He has almost 2,700 yards passing, 19 touchdowns. Also has another 6 touchdowns on the ground, and is passing the ball at almost 75% completion rate. He's got great receivers on the outside. He can do everything with his legs and his feet, or and throwing through the ball. So I think he's solidified at number 3 for me, especially now that he's leading the number 1 team, arguably in the country. So yeah, that's my 1, 2, 3: Ward, Genty, and Gabriel.
Real quick, though, I want to bring somebody back up that if they wouldn't have got hurt for a week with the things that they're doing, Curtis Rourke.
I know he was going with Curtis Rourke.
Hey, I will say Curtis Rourke is actually 4th in the odds right now for the Heisman.
Is he really?
Yep.
Do you guys know what the actual odds are?
Yeah, I'll pull them up.
I think it's Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Dylan Gabriel, actually.
No, Travis Hunter's in first on all of them.
No kidding.
It's just
they don't have the odds, but it goes Hunter, Genty, Ward, Gabriel, Rourke, top 5.
Wow. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I hate being so negative about the Travis Hunter thing, but like,
they also have, this one also has Shedeur Sanders at 6, which is an absolute joke.
Yeah, that actually can't.
Hey,
happen.
he's going to the Raiders is all I keep hearing that he's did you guys see that? He's tweeted after every Raiders loss, like God, thank you God, or bless up be God. I'm like, dude, like, I don't know.
I would love that.
But hey, listen,
would you?
I
know you're a Raiders fan, Bryant, but you really want Shedeur Sanders leading the helm for you in the future?
Well, I don't know if he does, but hey, look, you guys have always said
there's the hat. Look at him.
That I'm big on Travis Hunter. But here's the thing.
No, I don't want anything to do with a Sanders player on my team, but we're absolutely trash right now. So I'll take what I can get.
He is actually good at the quarterback position. Like, actually, giving credit where it is due, he is actually a really good quarterback. Seriously.
No, definitely. Absolutely.
They just bring a lot of bullshit with them.
I just don't want the baggage.
There you go.
Yep.
Totally agree.
You don't want daddy running the team. That's what you don't want.
Oh,
no, absolutely.
But no,
all right, let's go ahead, Dave. Go. Sorry.
No, I agree with you guys. Like, you guys know, I've always been big on Travis Hunter, but I don't think he's a number 1. I don't think in any list should he be a number 1, and I have been very high on him. But hey, we'll see how it all plays out. There's still some games to come. I don't know. It could get shaken up. But hey, let's talk about our, really not it's a new segment, but we're just switching.
Hey, it's playoff time, baby. We're talking playoffs. We talking playoffs.
Best part is we got 12 teams this year, not 4. We got 12.
I'm going to go ahead and announce our 12 through 1 who we have making the playoffs. Notre Dame at 12. We have Notre Dame at 12. We have Boise State at 11. We have Tennessee at 10. SMU at 9. Ole Miss at 8. Georgia at 7. Ohio State at 6. Indiana at 5. And then your top 4 or your power 4 conference champions. We have BYU at 4. Texas at 3, Miami at 2, and Oregon at 1. Somebody please find a team in that top 12 that Colorado is better than, because I can't find a team that they're even in the same conversation with. Boise State is a much better football team than Colorado. Army is a better football team than Colorado. And we have Army at 14 on our first 4 out. I think Iowa State, Colorado is a fair football game, but there's a reason that we have Iowa State at 15 and Colorado 16.
No,
I agree. I just wanted to throw that out there in case it does happen, because
the only way Colorado gets in is if they make the Big 12 championship and somehow beat BYU. That's the only way.
Imagine?
I mean, that is in play. Now, like, don't put the carriage in front of the horse. I think Colorado's played good football. I think they have exceeded expectations, especially for me. I mean, I was all over the under 5.5 because I thought their offensive line was horrible, and they have played much better than I thought. I thought their defense was horrible. They played better than I thought. So, I mean, yes, they have vastly improved from 2 years ago, from last year. Like, they are doing very good things. But, the only conspiracy theory that I could throw out here with this 12-team playoff is Notre Dame. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because let's say we have Washington State 11-1, Army 11-1, Notre Dame 11-1. Army's only lost to Notre Dame. Notre Dame's only lost to NIU. Washington State's only lost to Boise State. What, like, does Notre Dame only get in because of the name Notre Dame, or do we truly think that the Texas A&M one at the beginning of the season, like, truly did it for them?
Well, now we're seeing a different Texas A&M, right? I mean, we just looked at what happened over the weekend, so, like, I feel like Texas A&M's stock is not as high, so it doesn't make their win as high. But no, I think, we talked about.
Well, like, with that being said, though, and this is probably the direction that you were going to go, Bryant, is that's still a better win than any win Washington State has, though, right? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I definitely comes down to, I do think Notre Dame gets a little bit of the name bias, but truly their strength of schedules is so much better than Washington State, even though it doesn't seem like it on paper. Watching these games, yeah, I really do think Notre Dame's probably just a little bit better a football team than Washington State, and they have that better win, even though it was in week 1, but can't control what other teams do after you beat them. So, that was a good win week 1, and it still looks like a good win with how well A&M has been playing as of late, besides last week. So, definitely, I think it's partial because of the name, but Notre Dame has played well enough to get that spot.
So, scenario for you guys. Let's say Army beats Notre Dame. Okay, and if they beat Navy too and they go 12-0, I think they are in over Notre Dame. I think that should be no discussion.
Yes.
But let's say Army goes 11-1 with a win against Notre Dame and a loss against Navy. Then what happens? And Washington State's 11-1 as well with their only loss to Boise State. Now you have 10-2 Notre Dame. Is 10-2 Notre Dame going to get in over 11-1 Washington State, or 11-1 Army, or hell, 11-1 Navy at that point, because they did beat Navy? Like, so that is like the most interesting scenario for me moving forward with this, because I do think there are like G5 teams that have a real good shot to make it, and I think that there's a case where they should make it.
Absolutely. That'd be kind of the juicy scenario to pay attention to moving forward, is if you got all 4 of those teams kind of in the mix for only a couple of spots.
Like, I think Boise State's safe, right? If they win out, Boise State's safely in, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Surely. Okay.
I think it comes down to Washington State, Notre Dame, Army/Navy.
I totally agree. And I think maybe even at that point you could see maybe the Big 12 winner get back in the mix. Maybe. Or maybe you see the 4th Big 10 team, which I think is going to be Penn State, maybe get their name back in the mix. But, I mean, we just shown.
Gentlemen, I could see Tennessee being left out, because Tennessee's playing Georgia on the 16th, and that's going to be a hard game. I mean, I think I don't know. I think it's going to be a competitive game, but I think Georgia could pull that off. Like, I think Georgia has.
Well, how do you not take 4 SEC teams, though? Like, that's my only thing, Dave. And, like, that's not me having SEC bias. That's just being realistic in my opinion. Like, a 10-2 Tennessee is better than an 11-1 Washington State, an 11-1 Army.
They could go 9-3, man. They're playing Vanderbilt to finish off the season, man. Vanderbilt's dangerous, dude. Like, Vanderbilt.
They are.
They can ruin.
They are, but I don't.
They're that Louisville. They're that South Carolina. They're that same kind of team. And especially at the end, if Vanderbilt has nothing to lose because they're not making the playoffs, they're going to go 1,000%. And now they're just wanting to knock off Tennessee.
You are right. They want to play a spoiler.
It's 2024. Everything has happened this year. I mean, number one's knocked out. I would like to know if there's any, out of those top 25, if there's any position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 through 25, if any of those positions has not had a loss from the beginning. I feel like there has to, other than maybe Oregon, but they just moved up. And BYU, was BYU ranked at the beginning of the year? I don't even remember.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
No, hell no.
I mean, if anything, there's maybe one Oregon, maybe the only team that was originally,
Miami.
Well, yeah, that's true. But Miami moved up as well.
So I mean, I think that there's 4 SEC teams. I think the most interesting dynamic about the SEC is I think the top
which
2.
4?
I think like you have a true discussion with like, is it LSU? Is it Ole Miss? Is it Tennessee? Does Bama get their name back in this? Like, who really is it? And like just our thoughts that we talked about here on this network is we actually have Ole Miss getting in because Georgia going to Ole Miss. I think that's where Georgia slips up. I mean, Ole Miss has
They're firing on
played
all cylinders now.
this football game against Arkansas. I don't want to overreact, but their previous football game against Arkansas really showed me that when Ole Miss fires on all cylinders, they're actually as good as anybody in the country.
Absolutely.
Like I think they were just extremely arrogant at times throughout this season, and took games off and then got caught with their pants down, and it was too late. And I don't think Georgia is playing good football right now. So I think Ole Miss can catch them. That's a home game for Ole Miss, and Georgia's going to get Ole Miss's best. Like they have to, or Georgia will just find a way to win again. But I mean, Tennessee down the stretch is extremely interesting. I do think they dropped that Georgia game, but we've all talked about here together, Tennessee has not played their best football yet, and they're still a one-loss football team winning games. And these close
can't
one
forget
possession.
Tennessee beat the shit out of South Carolina early on in the season.
Yes. And that to me has proven to be a fantastic win. That's a really good win, I think, at this point. I think South Carolina is the best 3-loss team in the country. And I mean, respect to them. So that's a really good win. But, if Tennessee finds it, and that's a big if, but if Tennessee finds it, and I should preface this, if Nico Iamaleava finds it, Tennessee is going to be a problem for opposing teams, especially if they get into the playoffs. That defense is incredible. Dylan Sampson is incredible. They just need their 5-star plus quarterback to play 25% better than what he's playing right now, and they will be a problem. How many points have they left on the board, fellas, because Nico misses wide open receivers deep?
Oh, probably 7 or 8 touchdowns.
I mean, Josh Heupel schemes guys open every game.
I agree.
He's doing his job.
We talked about on the last show, like you mentioned earlier, that Tennessee's just not been playing their best ball and they're still winning. So, like we're saying now, if they can get it rolling, I still think there's going to be 4 teams in the SEC, and I think definitely they'll be one of them if they end up at 10-2.
Those close wins like that, those close games, build character for like playoff type runs.
Yes.
Like your team has proven that they can rally around each other at the end of football games when it doesn't look good and still go win it. So, I mean, I think that is huge for Tennessee. Like, they just have to find it. It's a big if, but if they do, look out. But is there any discussion about Oregon, Miami 1-2? Because I don't think there should be any discussion about Oregon, Miami 1-2.
No. I do think Miami has a better offense than Oregon.
Yes.
Strictly because of Cam Ward and just how many points they put up. But Oregon has better wins and they have a much better defense. They haven't had to play shootout games. So 1-2, there was definite 1-2 in my opinion, but I think that's right where they need to be.
I just think Oregon's more well-rounded, like just overall. I don't think it's
Oregon's
a difference, but I think it's just
mark my words. The Mario Cristobal of old will show its face at some point this season.
That's exactly what I was fixing to say. Here is where Oregon has. Okay, Oregon, Miami square off tomorrow. Here's exactly what my diagnosis would be without doing any research on this football game. Miami's got the better offense, but Oregon's defense can slow down Miami's offense way better than Miami's defense will slow down Oregon's offense. And Dan Lanning will outcoach Mario Cristobal.
Yes.
That is why Oregon is my number 1 over Miami.
I seriously think if they played next week, I think Oregon would be a 4 or 5 point favorite.
I could get down with that.
Depending on where it's at, neutral site.
Yeah, if all things are equal and we're like in a bowl game scenario here on a neutral field in the playoffs, yeah, I would probably think you're probably almost spot on. I would say 4.5 is probably right where it needs to be and should be. If Tez Johnson's not playing in that football game, I'm taking Miami plus 4.5. If he is playing, I'm probably just gonna take Oregon money line at probably like minus 160 or something at that point because I don't that would be a banger. I would love to see this football game. I do think these are the two best teams in the country right now. I really do. I really, really do.
What do we think about the rest of the 12? Do we have any, outside of the teams we've already discussed? I think most of the teams are probably set where they are, unless barring some catastrophic loss.
So let me ask you guys, because I got a question real quick. The top 4, from my understanding, do they get a bye?
Yes.
Okay, so they get a bye. So then essentially the remaining 8, so 5.
So
Indiana through Notre Dame would just face each other and good luck.
So you'd
So
actually
how
rather
did go ahead?
you'd rather
Brian,
want to be
sorry.
the 5 seed than like the 8 or 9, because say Indiana, if this holds true and Indiana beats Notre Dame, they would then play BYU. Whereas like if Ole Miss and SMU play, say Ole Miss wins, they would then play Oregon. So
so yeah, you want that 5. Indiana wants to stay there, right there.
the one plays the highest seed remaining.
Gentlemen, you imagine if Indiana makes the national championship? I mean, just based off.
Slow down, Turbo. Slow down, Turbo.
Well,
I think there's a chance, though.
Well, what I'm saying is because I hadn't thought about it, but Brian just brought up a good point that Indiana goes and let's say they play. Who was it? Did you say that you said they would play? Brian, Notre Dame, right?
So real quick,
our ranks of Notre Dame.
I'll go through it just so everybody that won't be able to see it on our YouTube video can understand through like Spotify. So the way this would work, if our rankings hold true, you would have Oregon, Miami, Texas, BYU on a bye. Those are your top 4. Then if our rankings were exactly how it went, you would have 5 Indiana play 12 Notre Dame. Indiana would be the home team. You would have 6 Ohio State play 11 Boise State. Well, Ohio State would be the home team. You would have 7 Georgia play 10 Tennessee. Georgia would be the home team. And then you would have Ole Miss, SMU square off at the 8-9. Ole Miss be the home. If that game happens, take the over. Lay your house on the over in that football game.
And those would be home on campus games.
Yes, like true home games. True home games for
the next week. Whoever wins and the 1 4 through 4 teams are playing again. Those will actually be bowl games at a neutral place.
Because it'll be the Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl, and Fiesta Bowl, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they'll do the last New Year's Six for the semi. So there's teams that can play in 2 New Year's Six bowls from past and the national championship.
Man,
it's just, dude, the format is like, I know there's a lot of people out there that really bitch and complain about it, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah, so if I'm right, like you could play in the Rose Bowl and the next week you're playing in the Orange Bowl.
I think
that's how it is. I think they rotate 2 of the New Year's Six bowls from previous seasons into the semifinals.
Here, let me just look so we get. I also think they play games on like Friday nights, like through the playoffs.
Yeah, there's every one of these games will be a prime time football game.
Yeah, then the is the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl.
Yes, is that what it says?
Yeah, then just
the very first playoff football game will be Friday, December 20th on a Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Yes.
So it doesn't say like what game that would be. It just says the very first game, and then the next game is Saturday at noon.
Yeah, so they'll all be their own singular game. Yeah. So there's 4 games there. So you'll have Friday prime time, and you'll have the 11, 2:30, and 7 for the other 3.
The final 4 games is on a Thursday night, and it's the Orange Bowl, and then a Friday night is the Cotton Bowl. So they play the final 4 on a Thursday and a Friday.
I think that's like around the holidays.
Thursday, January 9th, and Friday, January 10th.
Never mind.
So when's the national championship, Collin?
The national championship
will be on Monday,
January 20th. They skip a week.
Oh wow, they got to do.
So is that and Bryant, you know more about this than me because I don't really follow the NFL much, is that they may not play Saturday because NFL games might start on Saturdays at that point.
So the first week of the NFL playoffs won't be till the last Sunday games are the 4th of January or 5th of January. So yeah, there would be an NFL game on that Saturday and then that Sunday. So that's probably why they're doing that. So
I don't really like that Thursday,
there'll be
Friday.
4 divisional round games or wild card games on the Saturday and Sunday for the NFL, the 11th and 12th of January.
And NFL gets the premier times and channels. So I don't really like that Thursday, Friday thing though for the playoffs.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But anyway, I mean, we can't change that.
They should have a pretty big layover from their previous game until that, so it's not like they're going to be playing on 6 days rest or 5 days rest.
Yeah,
I think their previous week is in 2024 still. So, you almost have a week and a half between the semis or the quarters of semis and the natty if you make those 3 games. So they'll be rested, which is nice.
Okay, so what we're gonna do here, because this is what everybody cares about listening to. Let's be realistic. We're gonna go through this real quick. Like we're gonna go through like what would be our bracket. So we would have Indiana playing Notre Dame. Who would you guys take in that football game?
I'm taking Indiana, man. I'm a big believer in Kurt Cignetti. That's really what it comes down to. I think he's something figured out. I mean, the turnaround a program like Indiana to be a top 5 team in the country, that's wild.
If Curtis Work is healthy, I think Indiana wins that game.
Yes. Kurt Cignetti's a better coach. Curtis Work's a better quarterback. Indiana's defense is not as good as Notre Dame's, but Indiana's defense is still good. And Indiana has a much better offense than Notre Dame. I'm on Indiana as well in that football game. So then we'd have our 6 Ohio State playing 11 Boise State. I'm going to go ahead and say this now. I think this is where we'd see. Oh, God. This is where I was going to say I think the road ends for Ashton Jeanty University.
I think Ohio State wins by multiple scores.
Really?
Yep. I think they have the defense to really bottle up Jeanty. I really do. So I think I would take Ohio State in this one. I really would. So that would have 5 and 6 advancing. So 6 would be Ohio. I'm writing this down as we go. I mean, we truly are doing this off the cuffs, and I like it. So then we would have Georgia playing Tennessee. This game would be interesting, but it would be a home game for Georgia. You know what? Go ahead, Bryant. Look like you had something.
I'm just going to go with Tennessee. I think they're just playing. If they keep getting better, it seems like Tennessee's doing this and Georgia's doing this. Yep. That if they meet in the middle and they're playing a little better in this game, I think Tennessee has a chance in this game to win. So I'm going to go with them.
I agree with Bryant.
I'm going Tennessee as well. And my first thought was I was going to go Georgia, but then as I was about to say that out loud, I pivoted to Tennessee because we have Tennessee making the playoffs on the whim that they are playing better. Like they are continuously getting better. And we have Georgia at 7 because, to your point, we have them actually not getting better. They're just kind of stalling and maybe drifting. So I think that Tennessee's defense, I think, is actually better than Georgia's. I think the Carson Beck-Nico conversation is interesting because they both have shown signs of being really good and both shown signs of not being good. So that is a very interesting conversation. I think the receiving core probably goes to Tennessee, even though they haven't played great. But I do think they get open a lot more than Georgia's receivers do. And Tennessee's run game is, bar none, much better than Georgia's. So, yeah, man, Tennessee. So 10 seed Tennessee would be advancing. Now, for the last matchup, it would be 8 Ole Miss hosting 9 SMU. That would probably be my favorite football game to watch in this first round if this actually shaped up like this.
I would just lean Ole Miss in this game just for the simple fact that if they play like they did last week, they played in bigger games, I think, than SMU has, and I think they're going to be a little more seasoned for that atmosphere. I'm just going to roll with them. This is going to be a shootout if it happens.
This is going to...
But SMU is lights out on offense too, so...
Dude, that Kevin Jennings.
This game might
is
be like
incredible.
48-44 type thing.
Dude, I like
Yeah.
SMU. I like them. They're good. They're just, I don't know. I just like them. I don't know why, but I just do like them. I mean, other than the stats.
This is a hard game to pick. Like, this is the hardest one, in
Absolutely.
my opinion, because, like, part of me,
At
it
this
appears
point,
I'm going to be the icebreaker between the two of you, and, like, part of me really does lean SMU here. Like,
for me, at this point, it's just a gut thing because, yeah, they both have comparable stats, but it's a gut thing for me. SMU, I think SMU wants it more. Truthfully,
it's a vibe. It's SMU is the vibes pick.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
But Ole Miss is the better, safer pick because I think Ole Miss could play C+ football and still win in this game. I think for SM and that maybe not C+. I think they would have to play B football to win this game. If SMU plays anything less than A, they're not winning the game. If SMU plays like they did against Pitt, they're winning this football game. If Ole Miss plays like they did against Arkansas, Ole Miss is winning this football game. So, like, there is – I'm going to go Ole Miss just because I feel like it's the safer, easier pick here. So, at that point, we would have 8 Ole Miss. So, then we would have 5, 6, 8, and 10 left. So, one would play – so, Oregon would play Tennessee.
Yes.
Who would we take in that one?
Oregon.
Oregon for sure.
I'm not going away from Oregon.
Oregon for sure. Oregon's winning that. So, then 2 would play 8. So, we would have Miami playing Ole Miss. Take the over again, by the way.
I think this is a tough game to pick. I don't know. I think you got to roll with Cam Ward and how good he's been playing this season.
To be honest with you, Bryant,
but this is a game that we're talking about.
I'm Miami easy in this game, actually.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. But this is a game that I think the Mario Cristobal effect could rear its head.
And that is very, very true. He is known to shit down both legs. We say that often. But Lane Kiffin is also known to shit down both legs.
Yep.
So I think that is what saves Mario Cristobal in this game. So that's 2. Dave, I mean, we already have 2 on Miami, so we're going to go Miami. But would you pick Miami as well?
I like Miami. I really do. Cam Ward.
I think, yeah.
I've been high on him from the beginning. And Cam Ward hasn't shown me a flaw yet, is my thing. So I think
the only thing Cam Ward does is, like, once in a blue moon, he throws one up, and you're like, dude, what are you doing? But he somehow answers right after that.
Exactly. And for me, it's like, it seems that Cam Ward plays better in difficult games almost versus a lot of other quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. When the going gets tough, Cam Ward settles in.
Oh, he's just calm and poised, and I think that's what you want for a playoff team.
Okay, so this is actually getting really interesting with the Indiana conversation because it's not this game we're going to talk about next, but it'd be the one after. So we would have number 3 Texas playing number 6 Ohio State. Talk about what could be a banger.
Dang. I don't think Ohio State wins that game.
Who?
Would you say?
Ohio State.
Texas?
I think they win.
I think Ohio State wins that game.
Dave, you go.
I think Texas for me. I mean, we just talked about how we had more red flags than anything for Ohio State after that Penn State game, and I haven't seen a whole lot of red flags for Texas. I mean, yes, the quarterback.
Who's going to be their quarterback?
Well, they got 2 decent.
Decent doesn't win you playoff games.
Yeah, but who's a better overall team, though? I think Texas is a better overall team.
I don't know. I think Ohio State probably is.
What's Lee Corso say? Not so fast, Dave.
So fast.
I think Ohio State is a better football team. Now, let me preface this. If Quinn Ewers can somehow come back to life, like somebody hit him with the, what do they call that? The defibrillator. Somebody defib his ass and bring him back because he is crumbling right now. And you are much higher on Arch Manning than Bryant and I are, Dave. I don't think Arch Manning is bad, so don't get it twisted. I think he is good, but he is not very good right now. He is not good enough. Okay, so with that being said, this is why I'm also with Bryant going Ohio State in this football game. I think Ohio State's receivers would expose Texas's secondary. I think if Will Howard can just do what we've continued to talk about on this show, if Will Howard can just continue to not be the reason they lose a game, Ohio State will win many football games. I think Ohio State's rushing attack is too much for Texas. And if Ohio State's O-line can somehow manage Penn State's, they will manage Texas's. So I'm going to go Ohio State as well on this. And that's where I lean. But this next game, fellas, this is truly the chance for Dave's thought process to come to fruition because you would have 4 BYU and 5 Indiana playing. And I think Indiana mops the floor with BYU. I don't think it's a game.
Kurt Cignetti, baby.
I mean, I know Dave's on Indiana. I'm trying. Bryant, are you? I mean,
I'm trying to
Indiana
get the
mops the floor with BYU.
You think Indiana beats BYU?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, did I say that wrong? I think Indiana mops the floor with BYU. Sorry.
Oh, I definitely agree. I was going to say, even without Rourke, I mean, the backup played against Washington was phenomenal. BYU has kind of been playing with fire a little bit themselves in a few games this season. So if Rourke is healthy and they don't drop the ball and this is truly a matchup, I'm going to go with Indiana as well.
Yes, you are
And
spot
that will
on.
be
Indiana.
in that game. And another point, that game will be on a neutral field, so that helps Indiana.
Yeah, because Provo at night is deadly. I mean, we watched them murder Kansas State at night there. So, yes, I think Indiana mops the floor with their backup or with Curtis Rourke against BYU. So, to continue the trend, and then we'll wrap it up, just because this is the stuff people want to hear. So then we would have number 1 Oregon playing number 4 Indiana.
5 Indiana.
What would you boys? You like it? I love it.
No, I said number 5 Indiana, not number 4 Indiana.
Sorry, they would be one of the final 4 teams at this point. I thought you said you like Indiana. I was like, tell me more.
I think you had to pick Oregon in that game.
I think that was Oregon.
Similar to our Boise State talk earlier, I think the train stops there.
Yeah, what a run. If this is truly what happens, what a run for Cignetti
crazy
in
run.
Indiana.
That's a happy ending for both teams, realistically. Like,
yes.
That's just nobody goes home sad after that. I mean, yeah, but like, hey, Indiana, you never had a chance. You weren't even ranked to begin with. Like, that was a good.
Oh, dude! Awesome if they just make the playoffs, hang your hat.
And I'm gonna go ahead and make a statement here. I think that at the end of this season, Indiana falls apart because somebody comes calling the Kurt Cignetti.
It's his first year there. He's not going anywhere. He's stuck there right now. But they're gonna pay.
The money's good in a lot of places, Collin.
His buyout would be too expensive for teams to afford.
Yeah. Indiana will pony up because they just had success with him when they've not had success for years, like with Tom Allen and shit. Like they will pay. They will pay. And if they just make the playoffs, congratulations to Cignetti and Indiana. And I think they're a playoff caliber football team. They continue to answer the doubters. So hope this happens. The second to last game we need to talk about here would be Miami, Ohio State. I'm going to just go and throw this out there with both of you. I have Miami, no questions asked. I think Miami kicks Ohio State's ass. I really do.
Yep. Absolutely. I agree.
Wow, I thought I'd get some pushback on that. Love it.
Nope.
Miami.
I was going to say the same thing.
Well, we got Miami, Oregon, and the national.
And then the absolute, if I could draw this up, the 2 teams I want to see play each other in the national championship this year, truly. And maybe this is because we on this network had both these teams going undefeated before the season started, so it really makes us look even better. I truly do want to see this matchup between Oregon and Miami. I really do.
Yeah, it would be must-see television. I think it would come down to which defense can stop which offense. It'd be close. We mentioned earlier how I think it'd be around a 4-point game on a neutral field. I think that just all depends on how Oregon finishes the season. This would be a fun game. I think I'm gonna pick Oregon. Just because, like we mentioned, there's the coaching effect of Cristobal, and Dylan Gabriel has played in bigger games like this when Cam Ward has not on win or go home games. So that's just where I lean is Oregon.
Hey, with that being said, Bryant, like we talked about earlier and what you just gave, I have no further diagnosis. I agree. I think Oregon wins it. And I think it truly comes down to coaching at the end. Now, Cam Ward's the better quarterback. and
Yes.
Cam Ward can pull shit out of ass to beat Oregon if this were to happen, and it is a Miami-Oregon national championship. It just would be the most exciting national championship in a while for me, I think. It would be awesome to watch. Fantastic to watch. Dave, anything else to add?
Hey, I've been high on Oregon from the very beginning. I mean, I was high on Dylan Gabriel too, but that's kind of not panning out as great. So yeah, I got Oregon national champion. You know, hey, if Oregon wins the national championship, Bryant will get the Oregon Duck logo right there. Right
No,
on.
I will not do that.
Oh man. Well, hey, that wraps up our playoff conversation. This was honestly, I love doing this. This is what people want to hear. This is what we want to talk about. We're getting close. We're wrapping things up at the end of the season. We're narrowing it down to truly who, can actually make the playoffs and contend in the playoffs, and who's for real and who's not. And this is fantastic stuff, gentlemen. So we will continue on with this moving forward. Like we talked about last week, we are going to alternate weeks. So we are going to do playoff conversation every other week, not every week, unless, people light up our inboxes and say, no, we want to hear this and this only, then we'll pivot. I mean, you guys tell us out there what you want to hear. But with that being said, if Bryant and Dave have nothing else to add, we will go ahead and wrap things up. Fellas, we good?
I'm good.
Looks good. Hey, looks good on my end.
All right, fellas. Tons of fun. And we will see you guys later in the week. We will have our, top games of the weekend coming at you. We'll break those down. We'll follow along with our Book It segment. Somehow we shaped up to be 6-6 this last week. Didn't look great starting out, but we managed the storm, and things turned out to be A-OK. So, for all you out there, that's Bryant, that's Dave. Follow us on X at DT_sports_. Facebook, Deep Threat Sports Network. Instagram, Deep Threat Sports with a Z. TikTok, Deep Threat Sports Network. YouTube, Deep Threat Sports. Spotify, Deep Threat Sports. Fellas, until next time, peace.
Peace.